2 minutes ago, Jasmine Crockett did something that silenced an entire room full of Republicans. And I mean complete, absolute, dead silence. She stood up, she looked them in the eye, and she said 4 words that changed everything. Roll the tape. And what came next? Footage so shocking, so brutal, so undeniable that every Republican in that hearing room went pale. You need to see what she showed them. You need to hear what she said, because this moment is going to change the entire immigration debate in America. If you're new to this channel, subscribe right now and hit that bell icon. This video is going viral and you're seeing it here first. Let me set the scene. House Judiciary Committee, Republicans had been going on for hours, talking about border security, talking about illegal aliens, talking about criminals, painting this picture of chaos and violence and disorder, making it sound like ICE agents are heroes protecting America from dangerous criminals. Standard Republican talking points, right? You've heard it all before. And then Jasmine Crockett got her turn. Now, if you don't know who Jasmine Crockett is, let me tell you, she's a Democratic congresswoman from Texas, former civil rights attorney, the kind of person who doesn't back down from a fight, the kind of person who comes prepared with receipts. And she'd been sitting there for hours listening to Republicans talk about law and order, taking notes, waiting for her moment. That moment came, and it was devastating. Republicans had been talking about 3 Democratic members of Congress who visited an ICE detention facility in New York, New Jersey. They were painting these members as criminals, as troublemakers, as people who were interfering with law enforcement. The Trump administration had actually announced criminal charges against Congresswoman Andy Kim for impeding and interfering with law enforcement. Think about that, criminal charges against a member of Congress for doing congressional oversight, for visiting a detention facility, for checking on conditions, criminal charges. Republicans were eating it up, talking about how these Democrats were protecting criminals, how they were soft on immigration, how they were putting Americans at risk. The usual playbook, but then Crockett stood up and she wasn't having it. Let's call this for what it is, Crockett said. Her voice was calm, controlled, but you could hear the anger underneath. This administration is criminalizing legislative oversight, and the Republicans on this committee are helping them do so. Boom, right out of the gate, no dancing around it. No political niceties, just straight facts. This administration is criminalizing congressional oversight, and Republicans are helping them. But Crockett was just getting started, because she didn't just make accusations. She came with the law, with the Constitution, with facts that Republicans couldn't dispute. Federal law explicitly prohibits DAs from preventing a member of Congress from entering any facility operated by or for the Department of Homeland Security, Crockett said. She was reading from the statute, the actual law. It is against the law. Full stop. You see what she did there? She didn't argue politics. She quoted the law. The law says members of Congress have the right to visit these facilities. The law says Ds can't stop them. It's not a debate. It's not an opinion. It's the law. Full stop. And then she went deeper. The Supreme Court has consistently held that the speech and debate clause of the Constitution protects individual members from prosecution for legislative acts, including fact-finding, field investigations, and information gathering. The Constitution, the Supreme Court. Republicans love to talk about the Constitution, right? Well, here it was. The Constitution protects members of Congress when they're doing oversight, when they're investigating, when they're gathering information. That's their constitutional duty. And the Trump administration was trying to criminalize it. The primary purpose of the speech and debate clause, Crockett continued, is to prevent intimidation by the executive. Let that sink in. The founders put this clause in the Constitution specifically to prevent presidents from intimidating Congress, from punishing members for doing their jobs. And that's exactly what Trump was doing, exactly what the founders tried to prevent. But here's where Crockett really exposed the hypocrisy. She walked through what actually happened in Newark. And it's completely different from what Republicans were claiming. Congresswoman Kim didn't engage in interference, Crockett said. It was ICE that engaged in interference while members of Congress attempted to conduct legitimate oversight. And then she laid out the timeline, the facts, the sequence of events that completely destroyed the Republican narrative. Not only were the members invited in and given a tour of the facility, Crockett said, this was after they so-called had broken the law. Wait, what? They were invited in after they supposedly broke the law. Think about that. If you really believe someone just committed a crime right in front of you, do you then invite them in for a tour? Do you offer them refreshments? Now, I don't know about y'all, Crockett said, and you could hear the Texas in her voice now, but where I'm from in Texas, I can tell you that I'm not used to having law enforcement see a crime happen right in front of their faces and then say, never mind, we'll just go about our business. In fact, why don't you go ahead and come on in? Come on in. We're going to do this tour because, oops, we did make a mistake because technically by law we are supposed to allow you in. And wait a minute, while you're here, do y'all want something to drink? We got refreshments for you as well. The sarcasm was devastating because she was pointing out how absurd this whole thing was. ICE supposedly sees members of Congress breaking the law, and their response is to invite them in, give them a tour, offer them drinks, and let them conduct their oversight. Does that sound like how law enforcement responds to criminals? And then after you conduct this oversight and you actually gave a clean bill of health because you were never there to disrupt, you were always there to do your duty, they came out and they said everything looks good. So the members did their oversight. They found everything was fine. They gave ICE a clean bill of health, and then they left. No arrests, no charges, nothing, because there was no crime. And then it wasn't at that moment that they decided to arrest members, Crockett continued. It wasn't the next day. In fact, even as I sit here today, no member has been arrested. This is key. This is critical. If these members really committed a crime, if they really interfered with law enforcement, why weren't they arrested on the spot? Why not the next day? Why not the next week? Why weeks later are they still not arrested? Now you tell me how many times you can see the robber going into the bank, steal the money, and then they say, well, never mind, we'll think about this later. Exactly. You don't see a robbery and then decide weeks later maybe you'll think about arresting someone. That's not how law enforcement works unless it's not really about law enforcement, unless it's about something else, unless it's about politics. That is what you call politicizing, Crockett said. And that is what we are here to talk about as wrong. But then, Crockett did something that changed the entire hearing. She shifted gears, because this wasn't just about members of Congress. This was about something bigger, something darker. Something that Republicans really didn't want to talk about. But we got a few other issues with ICE right now, Crockett said, so I'm going to get to them in a second. You could feel the room tense up. Republicans knew something was coming. They just didn't know what. And under no other president, Democrat or Republican, can we find an incident where they have tried to arrest members of Congress, Crockett said. This is absolutely absurd that they were out there simply doing their duty. And then came the moment that silenced the room. We have never seen ICE act in this way. In fact, it's not less oversight that we need right now. It's more. She paused, looked directly at the Republicans, and said those 4 words. Actually, I'm not going to tell you. I can show you better than I can tell you. Roll the tape. Now, I need to stop here for a second. If you think this video is important, you need to like it right now and share it. This kind of content gets suppressed. The algorithm buries it. Your engagement is what pushes it to more people. So hit that like button, share this video, and comment what you think about what Crockett exposed. The screen lit up, and what played next was footage that made Republicans visibly uncomfortable. You could see them shifting in their seats, looking down, refusing to make eye contact. First clip, New Bedford, Massachusetts. ICE agents surrounding a car. A man inside with his young children in the back seat. His partner recording, and then, without warning, the agents smashed the car window, glass shattering, children screaming in the background. The agents dragged the man out of the car while his kids cry and scream in terror. 29-year-old Juan Francisco Mendez has no criminal record, the news report said. No criminal record. This man had no criminal record. And ICE agents smashed his car window and dragged him out in front of his terrified children. Second clip. Worcester, Massachusetts. A mother and her 16-year-old daughter. ICE agents and police surrounding them, and then the footage shows it. The teenage girl's face slammed into the ground. Slammed. A 16-year-old girl face first into the pavement as she's taken into custody. The room was silent, completely silent. You could hear people breathing. That's how quiet it was, because what they were watching was undeniable. This wasn't rhetoric. This wasn't political spin. This was footage. Video evidence of ICE agents using brutal force against people with no criminal records, against children, against families. Crockett let the footage speak. She didn't interrupt. She didn't add commentary. She just let America see what ICE was doing. And when the video ended, she spoke. And her voice was shaking with controlled fury. You can't tell me that somebody in this building shouldn't do their jobs because these people are out of control. These people, ICE agents, out of control, using brutal force, terrorizing families. And Republicans wanted to arrest members of Congress for trying to provide oversight, for trying to make sure ICE wasn't abusing people. You're talking about arresting members of Congress, Crockett said, her voice rising now. These masked agents are running around acting this way. This is not okay, masked agents. Think about that. Unidentifiable ICE agents smashing car windows, slamming teenage girls' faces into the ground, and they're wearing masks so no one can identify them, so there's no accountability. This shouldn't be about politics, Crockett continued. We all should be on the same side saying we will not stand for this type of activity. She's right. This shouldn't be political. Brutality against children shouldn't be a partisan issue. Using excessive force against people with no criminal record shouldn't be something Democrats oppose and Republicans defend. This should be something everyone condemns. But instead, they want to pretend like it's members of Congress that are the thugs. It's members of Congress that are the ones that are stoking this kind of violence. The hypocrisy was stunning. ICE agents are literally on video smashing windows and slamming children's faces into pavement, but Republicans want to call members of Congress the thugs for trying to provide oversight, for trying to prevent this kind of abuse. And then Crockett explained what those members of Congress were actually doing in Newark, why they went to that detention facility. Let me tell you what those members of Congress were doing. They were trying to make sure that there would not be another mother that would lose her life in ICE custody as it was Mother's Day weekend. Another mother, because a mother had already died in ICE custody, a 44-year-old Haitian woman dead in an ICE detention facility in Florida. And it was Mother's Day weekend, and these members of Congress didn't want another mother to die, so they went to check on conditions to make sure people were safe, to do their constitutional duty of oversight. They decided that they just wanted to make sure that people were safe because that is who we are supposed to be in this country, who we are supposed to be, not who we are right now, but who we're supposed to be. A country that values human life, that treats people humanely, that doesn't smash car windows and terrify children, that doesn't slam 16-year-old girls' faces into pavement. And honestly, for anybody that considers themselves to be a Christian, they should care about treating people in a humane way. There it is, the moral argument. For all the Republicans who talk about Christian values, who wear their faith on their sleeves, who claim moral authority, where's your Christianity when children are being terrorized? Where's your faith when teenage girls are being brutalized? Where are your values? And they should also care about due process. Everyone in this country under our Constitution is due process. The Constitution, again, everyone, not just citizens, not just people born here. Everyone in this country is entitled to due process under the Constitution. That's not a Democratic position. That's not a liberal talking point. That's the Constitution. The document Republicans claim to revere. The hearing room stayed silent after Crockett finished. Republicans had nothing to say. What could they say? She'd quoted the law showing members of Congress have the right to oversight. She'd quoted the Constitution showing the speech and debate clause protects them. She'd exposed the absurdity of ICE inviting them in for a tour after they supposedly broke the law, and then she showed video. Undeniable video evidence of ICE brutality against children and families. What happened in those 2 minutes changed the narrative. Republicans came into that hearing wanting to talk about how Democrats were soft on immigration, how they were protecting criminals, how they were interfering with law enforcement. They left that hearing having to explain why they're defending agents who smash car windows in front of terrified children, why they're defending agents who slam teenage girls' faces into pavement, why they're trying to criminalize congressional oversight while ICE operates with no accountability. Jasmine Crockett didn't just shut down Republicans, she exposed them. She showed America exactly what's happening under this administration. Masked agents terrorizing families, children traumatized, people with no criminal records brutalized. And when members of Congress try to provide oversight, try to prevent abuse, try to make sure people are safe, they get threatened with criminal charges. The video is everywhere now. Those clips of children screaming as ICE agents smash car windows, that teenage girl's face being slammed into pavement, that's what people are seeing, that's what's going viral, not Republican talking points about border security, not fear-mongering about criminals, just raw footage of what ICE is actually doing. And Crockett's words are resonating. This is who we are supposed to be in this country. Not who we are, who we're supposed to be. A country that values human dignity, that treats people humanely, that protects children, that respects the Constitution, that allows congressional oversight to prevent abuse. 2 minutes. That's all it took for Jasmine Crockett to dismantle the Republican narrative, expose ICE brutality, defend congressional oversight, and show America what's really happening. 4 words, roll the tape, and everything changed. Subscribe now and turn on notifications because this story is just beginning. The video is spreading, more footage is coming out, more whistleblowers are coming forward, and members of Congress like Jasmine Crockett are going to keep fighting for accountability. Share this video with everyone. This is information every American needs to see, and check out the videos on your screen. Both are essential to understanding what's happening to our country. 2 minutes, 1 video, and Republicans had nothing left to say. Jasmine Crockett showed us the truth, and the truth is undeniable.